What's going on, guys? Today, welcome back to the channel, and today we got our turbos back from Forced Induction Systems. I am super pumped about this. Yeah, the box looks a little open, but I did not see what was inside. I don't know what's inside, so we're gonna be going through this together. This is going to be the start of our crazy build for the S10, more so, and crazy addition to the S10. So sit back and relax and enjoy this unboxing here. All right, let's get in here. Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. Hey, okay, so this is the Turbosmart stuff that came with the turbo. This is actually an oil pressure regulator for the turbo. Tag this on as well as getting the whole turbo done over, because when they redo the turbo, they redo the shaft and all the clearances for the shaft. We only changed our compressor wheel on the front and the compressor housing. We didn't mess around with the back, the turbine, because that was the perfect size, the perfect air that we needed. We just needed more flow, a more efficient flow from our turbos, which I'll get into that shortly. So this is our oil pressure sensor. Shout out to Turbosmart for making these cool products and cool things like this to help us excel at the highest level of performance. So basically, it's just like any other pressure regulator. You got your little screw in there to regulate your pressure, and you could tie a sensor to that, tie it to the inlet side of the oiling system for this turbo. And on top of that, this is a journal bearing. So this is the kind of turbo that when it fills up the compartment, the chamber with oil, the shaft basically rides on that layer of oil. It doesn't use any type of other bearings outside of the seals to keep the oil from like squirting everywhere else. The bearing is just, it floats on the oil. So this definitely helps with higher boost levels, a more efficient spool. You don't have to worry about wearing out a bearing as long as you have a pressure regulator like this, or if you have a good flow going to your turbo, if it's not custom made, and you'll be set. So there's that. Shout out to Turbosmart, cool little product. Got some more Turbosmart stuff I will preview in this video, but just stick around for that. All right, cut to me taking the turbo out of the box, because that'll just be me struggling trying to record with one hand and pull out the turbo with another hand. So that being said, turbo's out. So look at this bad boy. Oh man, this looks so nice. At first glance, it looks like, man, it just looks like a regular turbo. But up close, there's a couple things that they did to make this turbo flow to the highest performance level as possible without breaking the bank. So first and foremost, new wheel. I actually have the old wheel here. So this is the old wheel from this same turbo housing. They changed out the wheel, and then with them changing the wheel, they had to change the housing. This old wheel is like 101, if I'm not mistaken. And then with like extended tips, it's barely even extended. So it's like 102, right? With this new turbo wheel, this wheel is almost 113 millimeters with extended tips. That is a huge difference. Way more fin to grab in on the air. Also, if you take a look at the nut here, you can see how this part, the center part of the wheel where the nut would go, is huge on the old one, right? It's a lot smaller on this wheel, right? So that makes for more fin you could have to grab when you are spooling these bad boys up. Now, also, I have a little video of me taking off the cover, and when you take a look at this, you can see all the detail they put into the wheel. First and foremost, the wings aren't just straight out, they're actually kind of curved and go back a little bit. And then on top of that, you have the extended tips. So that's just the wheel characteristics within itself. Now, if you take a look at the housing, right? If you take a look real close, you can see down there, there's a bigger slot where that usually is for when your turbo surges. Now it has a purpose of it brings in more air. So instead of it surging, this is actually now a power adder. As you can see on here, it has two fins. It has a taller fin and it has a smaller fin. To make that slot bigger, where that smaller fin is at, it brings in more air. It adds almost 70 wheel horsepower. That's insane. That's really cool. Small detail, but an important detail at that. And on top of that, if you look inside the housing, before you wouldn't see that big slot in the housing. You're getting tons of air out. This turbo was made for high flow, serious flow at that. And this thing is just, it's beautiful. I like it. This is definitely top of the line stuff for your buck. You know, this still wasn't too expensive, it wasn't too crazy, but it definitely is worth the money if you want to have a high flowing turbo. All right, guys, so moving on, this little piece to the puzzle is going to make a world's difference to make serious boost and serious power levels efficiently. New technology. I would say it was released in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, but it was just starting to be used within 1 year of it being released. So without further ado, introducing the Turbosmart straight gate. Now, this little item here, this is new generation stuff. This is an electronic wastegate. It could be controlled by just about every type of sensor you could attach to the turbos to manage boost numbers. So it gives you all the wires and stuff for it. You could tie it to ECU, you could tie it to a standalone boost controller, you could tie it to, you know, manual stuff that have sensors on it. You know, it could do it all, right? But we're not going to use it in the capacity of a wastegate. We're going to use it on the intake side. Now, of course, that will bring along a lot of questions as to why. Well, we looked at a couple of people that are on the highest level of boosted drag racing, Turbosmart, FuelTech, and TKM Performance, the same engine builder that built our engine for the S10. They put together a mean combination for Ziff Hudson. For those who don't know who Ziff Hudson is, he is quite the staple in the small tire radio community. And on top of that, he's actually claimed some world records for radial and small tire racing. They're making 4,000 horsepower out of a single turbo TKM engine combination. It's just top of the line stuff through and through. And one of the main pieces to the puzzle is a straight gate wastegate. Now, of course, in the capacity of what they were doing at FuelTech and TKM, they put this on the intake and basically use this to chase the boost pressure that you want. And so it's like a one-to-one kind of thing. So like, let's say, hey, I want to make 40 pounds of boost at this RPM. Since you have the wires to tie to the ECU, it already knows that number. Okay, you're making that boost at this RPM. And what it does is it fluctuates this little valve here, and it doesn't open up all the way. It just gets you to the point where you get to 40 pounds of boost, and then it starts to crack open a little bit. So it still works more or less like a wastegate, but because this is on the intake side, you have basically a non-lag system when it comes to your turbo. This is your new generation devices to get rid of turbo lag without having to change up your whole turbo system. You could use something like this and get away with running some really big turbos with some really big ARs. I mean, of course, you still would need to tweak those turbos a little bit, because if you have too big of an AR, you just won't be able to spool them. But it'll help you spool some seriously large turbos in a decent amount of time, way more than what the conventional turbo setup with the wastegate give you. So with that being said, this is going to be the big puzzle piece for our build here, and it's definitely going to help us get to our power levels that we want. We already see them do it with 4,000 horsepower build. That's double of what we're trying to do. So with that being said, this thing is definitely stout. It's tested, tried and true, and it's still proving to be a definite tool when it comes to being boosted stuff. You can manipulate this, mainly turbos. I think you could probably get away with this with Pro Charger, but I'm not too sure about that. I'm mainly focusing on turbo stuff. This device here is going to change up the game for sure. Cannot wait to put this on the truck. Cannot wait to get this combination together and see how far we could take this, because we already see it. You know, check out Ziff Hudson and FuelTech. They did a whole rundown with it, and he went to the track, made some blistering numbers using this same puzzle piece here. So with that being said, this is going to be a wicked build once finished. And shout out to Turbosmart for always coming out with just modern technology and advancing technology in the boosted application world. So shout out to Forced Induction Systems, Turbosmart, FuelTech, and TKM Performance. We're definitely behind all these products here. Cannot wait to put them on the truck and make some serious power. Hey y'all, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to press that bell button for any notifications or updates for any new videos coming out. Have a great one.